Picture four figures on a hill overlooking Troy. A king consumed by pride, a warrior incandescent with rage, a woman whose beauty is a weapon of mass destruction, and a trickster holding the key to it all. They were not saviors, they were its horsemen. The chronicles say the Trojan War was a war for a queen, for honor, for glory. But the gods see a different story. They see an apocalypse, the end of the age of heroes. And they see the four figures who rode at its vanguard. But the gods see a different story. They see an apocalypse, the end of the age of heroes. And they see the four figures who rode at its vanguard. They were not saviors, they were its horsemen. The age of heroes was a time when the veil between the mortal and the divine was thin. Men were giants, their veins thrumming with the blood of gods. Their passions shook the foundations of the world. But Gaia, the earth herself, began to groan under their weight. She cried out to Zeus, burdened by the ceaseless strife of these demigods. And Zeus, in his terrible wisdom, listened. He decided the age had to end. He would not send a flood. This time, he would use the heroes to destroy themselves. He would orchestrate an apocalypse of their own making. All he needed were the riders to unleash it. This is the story of those riders, the four horsemen of the Greek apocalypse. The first horseman, the rider of Hubris. Imagine you are standing on the beach at Aulis. 1,000 black ships, the pride of all Greece, sit motionless on a dead calm sea. There is no wind. Days turn into weeks. The army grows restless. Sickness festers in the camps. You are Agamemnon, high king of the Achaeans. You are the conqueror on the white horse, bow in hand, a crown on your head, riding forth to conquer. Destiny calls you to the shores of Troy. But the goddess Artemis has stilled the winds. Why? Because in a moment of arrogance you boasted that your skill with a bow surpassed even hers. You have offended the divine, and the divine demands a price. The seer Calchas delivers the prophecy, his voice heavy with the will of heaven. To appease the goddess, to get the winds you need, you must make an impossible sacrifice. Your own daughter, Iphigenia. Here at this moment the first seal of the apocalypse is broken. A choice is placed before the king: abandon the war, preserve your soul, or sacrifice your own blood on the altar of ambition. For Agamemnon there was no choice at all. His pride, his hubris, was a force more powerful than love, more sacred than fatherhood. He chose the war. He laid his daughter on the altar. The chronicles are divided on what happened next. Some say she was saved at the last moment. Others say the knife fell. But it doesn't matter. In his heart, the sacrifice was made. The pact with darkness was sealed. The winds began to blow, carrying 1,000 ships toward a doomed city, all of it propelled by a father's unforgivable sin. This was the first horseman, not a king, but a disease of the soul called hubris, the belief that a mortal man's will could be placed above the sacred order of the cosmos. And with that first act of sacrilege, the end began. The second horseman, the rider of wrath. Now picture the battlefield before Troy. The dust tastes like copper in your mouth. The air rings with the clash of bronze on bronze. This is a war of demigods, but one towers above them all: Achilles, son of a goddess, the greatest warrior the world will ever know. He is the second horseman, the one on the red horse, given power to take peace from the earth. His divine rage, his menos, is a weapon more terrifying than any spear. When Agamemnon, in his bottomless arrogance, steals the girl Briseis from him, he is not merely insulted. A cosmic fury is unleashed. Achilles withdraws from the war, and you can feel the entire tide of the conflict shift. Without him, the Greeks are driven back to their ships. Heroes fall like wheat before a scythe. His own people are dying by the hundreds every single day, and he watches, he lets them. Why? Because his own honor had been slighted. But why was his honor so absolute? Because he was the son of a god. And why did that matter more than the lives of thousands? Because this is the nature of the second horseman. His is the untempered power of the divine, trapped within the fragile ego of a mortal man. This isn't just a tantrum. It is a divine force of destruction turned inward. His wrath doesn't just kill Trojans. It consumes his own allies. It consumes his dearest friend, Patroclus, who wears his armor into battle and is slain by Hector. And only then does the true apocalypse of his rage begin. He returns to the fight, not as a soldier, but as a maelstrom of grief and vengeance. He slaughters Trojans without number, so many that the river Scamander literally chokes on their blood and rises up in anger against him. He is no longer a hero fighting for a cause. He is wrath itself made flesh. He kills Hector, and in an act of breathtaking impiety desecrates his body, dragging it behind his chariot for 12 days. The gods themselves are horrified. The second horseman had taken peace from the earth, and he had shown the world that the very thing that made the heroes great, their divine power, was also the poison that would ensure their extinction. The third horseman, the rider of ruin. The third horseman is not a warrior. She holds no weapon. She gives no commands. And yet, she is the catalyst for it all. She is Helen. The poets call her the face that launched 1,000 ships. But this is too simple. She is not a person. She is a cosmic event. She is the third horseman on the black horse, holding a pair of scales. She represents a fundamental imbalance in the world. Imagine you are Paris, a prince of Troy. The three most powerful goddesses in the universe appear before you, and in your hand is a golden apple marked for the fairest. They each offer you a bribe. Hera offers power. Athena offers wisdom in war. But Aphrodite offers you the most beautiful woman in the world. That choice, that simple corporeal moment of a prince choosing beauty over power or wisdom, tipped the scales of fate. Helen's beauty was not a gift. It was a curse, a form of ate, a divine blindness and ruin that infects all who behold it. When she walked the walls of Troy, the old men who had lost sons and brothers in the war fought for her, whispered that they could not blame anyone for fighting over such a woman. That is the power of the third horseman. It is a force that makes men forget reason, forget honor, forget home. It creates a famine of sense, of peace, of stability. An entire civilization, with all its wealth and all its heroes, starves itself to death to possess a single, beautiful prize. She is the black horse of famine, for in her presence all other things of value turn to dust. The war was not for her. The war was her. She was the beautiful, terrible void around which the heroic age swirled before finally collapsing into nothing. The fourth horseman, the rider of Cunning. For 10 years, the heroes fought with strength and courage. They met face to face on the field of battle. It was a brutal but noble code, and it failed. The walls of Troy could not be broken by force. The age of heroes, with all its divine strength and righteous fury, was not enough. The old ways were dying. A new power was needed, and so the fourth horseman rides forth. His name is Odysseus, and his horse is pale, the color of death. He does not carry a great spear or a mighty shield. He carries an idea, a trick. He is the rider of Cunning. His weapon is the Trojan horse. Think of it. The symbol that ends the greatest war in mythology is not an act of heroism. It is an act of profound deception. It is a lie, fashioned from wood and filled with hidden death. It is the end of the heroic code. No more duels of champions, only a slaughter in the dark of sleeping men and terrified women. Odysseus represents the death of the old world and the birth of the new. He is the harbinger of the age of man, an age where survival depends not on the blood of the gods in your veins, but on the sharpness of your mind. He is the man who will go on to blind a cyclops, navigate past sirens, and outwit witches. He survives because he is clever, not because he is a demigod. His victory at Troy was the final act of the apocalypse. It proved that the values of the heroic age, open strength, martial honor, brute force, were obsolete. The fourth horseman, death, did not come for the Trojans alone. He came for the entire age of heroes, and he left the world in the hands of mortal men. So there they are, Agamemnon's hubris, which defied the gods, Achilles' wrath, which turned demigod's strength into a self-consuming fire, Helen's beauty, a divine ruin that starved the world of reason, and Odysseus' cunning, which brought death to the very idea of the hero. But here is the final terrifying revelation, the turn of the screw. These four were not acting alone. The lost epics, the poems that existed before Homer, tell us that this was all part of a plan. The Dios Boule, the will of Zeus. He saw an earth groaning under the weight of his own children, and he orchestrated this entire catastrophic war to cleanse the world. The horsemen did not choose to ride. They were chosen. They were instruments in a divine apocalypse, a terrible, bloody changing of the age. Their greatest glories and their most tragic flaws were simply the means by which a god wiped the slate clean. And this is the echo that this myth leaves for us. It is a warning that our greatest strengths, our ambition, our passion, our intelligence, our appreciation for beauty, when untempered by wisdom, can become the very instruments of our own destruction. The heroic age had to die so that we, the age of mortals, could be born. It was a victory, yes, but it was written in the ash of a fallen world. And it reminds us that every so often the gods look down upon the board and decide it's time to sweep the pieces clean.